Cool. Hello, my name is Jonathan. I'm from Murray Bay Surf Life Saving Club.
My name is Max Jones from Whangataa Surf Life Saving Club.
And I'm Jake Simpson from Sumner Surf Life Saving Club.
And we're the BP Leaders for Life group that is developing an IRB racing strategy. So just a quick overview of what we're going to be presenting. First of all, just an executive summary about what we've done. Then the current state of IRBs, so what are the challenges in IRBs right now that have led to this project being initiated? Where's our strategy going to fit within the current framework of surf life saving? From that, what motivates us to continue pursuing this project? What we did in our project, what the deliverables were, and then what is needed for our project to actually take off. So we are a group of reasonably young, heavily involved lifeguards. We are involved across lifeguarding, instructing, surf sports, IRBs, you name it, we've pretty much done it. One of the key things though that I want to emphasise is that we're not super heavily involved in IRB racing. We've all done it, we've all been involved in some way, but we don't come in with the biases that a lot of people who live and breathe two-stroke will have. We're able to take a more objective stance and look at the facts without skewing our ideas too much. We produced 3 documents, a strategy, which is grounded in the facts we collected from our surveys and from national statistics, produced a 1-pager, which is simple and accessible to all members, and a supplementary document which provides other goals, which Max will explain a bit later. We've done this because the IRB racing community is facing lots of challenges, and lots of changes at the moment. Jake will talk more about those, but now is the right time to produce a strategy so that everyone has the right idea on where to go. We've been doing this, our project was initiated in November. We conducted our key interviews around January, February, and then released our membership survey at the time of IRB Nationals for maximum member exposure. And since then, we've been working on strategy. And how have we done this? Like I said, 3 documents, pulling together all the data. I want to emphasize this is all data driven. Everything we've done is based on some fact which we have found.
Cool, so the current state of IRBs, over the past few years there's been a few changes. Is anyone aware of what those changes are, or some of them?
Helmets.
Yep, helmets, so health and safety is definitely one that's changed in the IRB racing community. Also, age groups have been re-evaluated, so now females have an under 20 and open grade, and the males have under 19, under 22s and open, so there's no more prems. Also, there is a gender imbalance in IRB racing. So from the ages of 14 to 18 to 23 to 30, females' dropout rate is 50% higher than males. So the retention tool, or IRBs as a retention tool, is failing for females compared to males. Also, the membership of the IRB racing community is rebuilding. So in this figure, we can see data is normalised from 2014, and it's between the IRB Nationals attendance and the national membership. So we can see that in 2014 to 2015 the membership went up while IRB racing went down. They both declined from 2015 to 2016 and both started going back up from 2016 to 2018. But we can also see that the IRB racing attendance at Nationals is increasing very, very fast. So that means now is the time where we need to make sure that everything is correct because it's rebuilding very fast. Lastly, there is a bit of a divide in IRB racing between ILS rules, so international life-saving rules. So what we race here in New Zealand is a bit different to internationally. As shown in this video, the buoy turn and ILS rules is a little bit different. So there's one before you go around the second one to pick your patient up. If crews from New Zealand wanted to race internationally, they would have to adopt these rules. So we found that we would want to look into whether ILS should be integrated into the way we race in New Zealand.
So as a starting point, we use the Surf Life Saving New Zealand 3-year strategic overview and national sports strategy as the guiding template for our strategy. The most critical element that we took from these strategies were the 6 pillars in the national sports strategy. We used these pillars because they were identified in the Blue Sky Surf Sport Review Project as the most important components of surf sport, and their ranking corresponded to their relative importance to the membership, participation being the most important and then moving down from there. We also utilised the finer details of the national sports strategy and the formulation of our first lot of open-ended questions that we asked to some of the high-profile members of the IRB racing community. You'll notice that the officials pillar has an asterisk next to it. Jake will talk slightly more about this, the process that we went through to obtain our data and evidence, but the end result of this was that we were unable to find enough conclusive data under this pillar that we deemed to be specific enough to IRB racing to put anything strategic forward for it. So we've omitted this pillar from our draft strategy. However, it still features in our supplementary document that we'll talk about a little bit later on. Importantly, we realised the national sports strategy scope was from 2015 to 2020. Whilst we knew this was going to be re-evaluated following this, we wanted our IRB strategy to align as closely as possible to the existing document. So it was, whilst also being specific to IRB racing. We hope that when the national sports strategy is re-evaluated, our draft strategy is incorporated into the new document.
So where is our strategy going to fit? We've described the 3-year strategic overview, which is the national strategy for all of lifesaving. That includes lifeguarding, sport, education, and development. It's everything. It's very much telling lifesaving to be better. Underneath that is this national sports strategy. National sports strategy is specific to sports and is again telling sports how to be better. So that's, for example, increasing participation, high performance pathways, and how to fund all these things. Our strategy is one level underneath this. The IRB racing strategy is a subset of the surf sports strategy. So it is describing and addressing issues that are specific to the IRB racing community and only the IRB racing community. We've ensured that we're not trying to double up on things in a national and national sport and national lifeguarding strategy.
Cool. So project actions, our actions leading up to creating our strategy came in 3 main stages. So those are the stages of community investigation, membership consultation, and strategy development. So part of that first stage, we created open-ended questions that directly related to IRB racing and the IRB racing community, and they were based off the national sports strategy and the 3-year strategic overview. All of these questions, at least one of them, all the questions were related to at least one of the 6 strategic pillars in the national sports strategy. These questions are also continually reviewed when we felt needed. Next, we interviewed some high-profile members in the IRB racing community. These interviews were recorded and transcribed so we could look back on them and go over them. These gave us insight of these people's knowledge and views of the IRB racing community as it is now, and we also hope that these views and opinions would represent the wider membership of the IRB racing community. So our next step was then to do the membership survey. So we put this membership survey out nationally. It was created off the answers we got from the interviews, and we used the membership survey as a closed question survey. It got 152 respondents, which turned a okay membership representation. So as we can see, representation of the regions, the northern region is at 1, so 1 means it's well represented, above or below is either way, so southern's overrepresented and central and eastern is slightly underrepresented. We can then see with the age group and gender representation against the national membership, we can see that from 19 to 39 is quite well represented, although some of the males is overrepresented. We can see also that here there's a lot of younger representation, whereas the older not so much. We did kind of expect this because we would expect all the younger generations to be competing in IRBs compared to the older ones. And then lastly, we have our survey response versus the attendance at the last nationals. So as we can see, ages 22 to 39 is pretty well represented, but then we've got the 40 to 49-year-old males, which is 20 times as much as representation. And then also the younger groups are quite underrepresented. So yeah. Next, from that membership survey, we did follow-up interviews. So what we did is, at the end of the survey, we had a section where you could select whether you'd would want to do a follow-up interview if you felt comfortable. They then got to select whether it was via phone or email. We then contacted them via phone or email and had tailored questions specifically related to their specific answers in the survey. So this provided a more in-depth discussion and analysis about those answers that we got in the survey. And it also provided clear, detailed anecdotal data for producing our strategy. Lastly, we had survey processing where we used Excel to collate all the data, create figures and tables so we could get a visual representation of what we got, and then we use this to draw inspiration and use it as evidence to create our strategy.
So our deliverables from this project. Our key deliverable was the draft strategy document. Our aims with this document was to make it clear and concise so it could be understood by everyone whilst also being strategic, obviously. This slide is a bit of an example of just one of the pillars. Under each pillar we had a key strategic goal. This was to act as an overarching goal to link back to one of the sports strategy pillars. For the events pillar shown here, this was attract and retain people in the IRB racing community. Under that overarching goal, we decided on one or two goals from the data that we saw to be most critical to benefit IRB racing. Again, as an example, one of the goals that we suggested was gender equality, increase female retention in IRB racing, followed by some proposed deliverables and initiatives that we suggest be adopted as part of the strategy. We felt it important to include a justification from the data for each one of these goals that was visible in the strategy document to give the document a bit of credibility. And this is just an example of one of the pillars, and we've got the full strategy document up here which we'll be handing out after in the break. Our next deliverable was a one-pager. So we believed it was important to be able to present our strategy on one page to the membership. Our initial information gathering process, we found that existing strategy documents were difficult to find, read and understand for the average clubby just because they're long strategic documents and people don't have time for that sometimes. So this one pager captures the strategic goal as well as the one or two specific goals under each pillar of the strategy. This can be understood by everyone and just to provide that basic level of insight into the direction that we propose IRB racing goes. Finally, as we were narrowing down critical goals that were going to be included in the strategy document, we discovered that we had to omit a number of goals that probably could have been captured in the strategy, but we didn't see them as critical when compared to some of the others, and we wanted to keep it nice and short and concise. The purpose of this document is to provide supplementary goals that expand on the proposed strategy. These are goals that can be considered alongside those main goals. This screenshot of the event pillar supplementary goal, as you can read, is not as concrete as our strategy document and provides more light-hearted recommendations that can be consumed and analysed by the Powercraft Advisory Group and National Sport Committee and acted upon if they wish.
Cool. So with those deliverables, how are they going to go into the membership? How are they going to be carried out and actually implemented? The first step is we need to present it to the National Sport Committee and the Powercraft Advisory Group. That was described by our original brief, and they will be the ones with the expert opinions to ratify our decisions. One thing we do need to note though is that, as we've discussed, we didn't include the officials pillar. We will strongly recommend to the National Sport Committee and Powercraft Advisory Group that they do investigate this pillar more. It was beyond our expertise, the data we got was conflicting, but you cannot ignore them. They are essential to our community, essential to the movement, and ignoring them from the pillar without really good concrete evidence wouldn't do justice to them. They need to develop key performance indicators as well, because again our expertise do not allow us to find answers to those. We believe that the experts in the movement will be the ones that need to know how to measure their progress. It's all well and fine to have goals, but if you can't measure it, it's kind of pointless. But we don't know how much they expect to improve it by. That's for them to decide. Once a more complete, finalised strategy is delivered, it needs to go out to the membership and fully ratified and understood by the membership. It needs to be accepted. We don't need another helmet saga. We want the membership to not be told what to do. We need to ask them what to do. The membership needs to be fully involved in the process. And once that is done, the strategies should be underlying all the decisions made regarding the IRB racing community. We need to act as one. We need one goal. We need goals that we all agree on. One goal for each pillar that we can all work upon. It's not about the number of goals, it's about how well you do them. One of the key things from the sports strategy we wanted to avoid was the sports strategy provided a lot of goals. If you could do all the goals perfectly, you'd have the perfect sport. We don't feel like that's realistic really though. We wanted to provide something that is attainable, something that can be done well and executed perfectly. That's the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Do you have any questions?
Do you want to see the strategy?
Yeah, so there's quite a lot in the strategy, so please don't feel rushed to read it. We are more than happy to, we'll be hanging around outside the lobby obviously for lunch and stuff. Please ask us then any questions you have about the strategy.
I'll say in favour.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's more. But wait, there's more. Anyone miss?
Yeah, so please don't feel like you have to be rushed to read it now and quickly ask us any pressing questions. We will be hanging around. Ask us any questions afterwards.
Question. What is your next step? What is your next step to take this forward?
So we'll be approaching the Powercraft Advisory Group and the National Sport Committee, hopefully. We've had a little bit of uncertainty around the correct process. Typically this goes from at a club level to local area sport committees to National Sport Committee, then around. So we're hoping to go straight to the National Sport Committee with this and present this to them, for them, their choice to look over it and use as they wish.
What endorsement do you then need from the national office for them to think about this sort of seriously rather than on this presentation?
I guess the assumption was when this project was initiated it would be taken seriously. But as we've described, there are pressing issues within the IRB racing community. If they don't believe those issues are serious, then our strategy is not very serious. We believe that the issues are serious and they are specific for the IRB racing community. They can't be captured in a national sports strategy. I'm sure some of the issues will cross over into surf sports and boats and beaches, etc. And like Max said, hopefully get something in the 2020-2025 sports strategy. But we can see some of these issues are RV specific, and hopefully anyone would be able to see the seriousness of the issue would require its own guiding document.
Yeah, and it's key to note that all this that we have in the strategy has come from that survey and from the membership directly. So all the issues that have come up have come from what they believe is the issue.
What you might have told us up, sorry if I've forgotten, but what sort of proportion of the eligible membership participates in IRB competitions from local events right through to the national? Do you know?
Oh, so in terms of the data we had, there was 310 registrations for the 2019 IRB Nationals in Dunedin. In terms of the membership, there's a bit like 19,000, so it is a small percentage. In terms of local competitions, unfortunately we don't have the data, I can't answer that.
The big glaring thing one thing that we discovered in the process was that there's currently 7 sanctioned IRB racing events by Surf Life Saving, run by Surf Life Saving, officiated by Surf Life Saving New Zealand, compared to surf sport where there's over 40 events over a summer period. So there's a little bit of an imbalance there.
Yeah, you showed a figure before that showed an increase in participation perhaps
Yeah.
at nationals, is that right?
Yeah, so it's coming back up.
Yeah.
So it's various factors that contribute to that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
What do you think those things might be? Because if those things perhaps already exist, perhaps they inform parts of the strategy. You know, there's lessons to be taken from increased participation.
Yeah. So just a lot of that was anecdotal stuff from what people were saying. So from our follow-up interviews, we had people say there's two camps. There's always going to be people with varied opinion, but a lot of the thing was the new age groups have been a positive step for IRB racing. So it's going to take a few more years, I think. We can't say after 2 years of increased participation that it's going to be a long-term trend, but yeah, if it is on the way up, yeah.
It is important to note as well that the decrease in IRB racing also coincided with a decrease in the general membership as well. So that is notable. IRB racing tends to decrease and increase at a faster rate than national membership. That concludes that as well. Just to note.
And I can see in your different pillars, some of the deliverables you've listed are already things that are in place.
Yeah.
So it's more of a continued.
Yeah, we're not the strategy. The bits in the strategy aren't all brand new, amazing initiatives. First off the block, there's stuff that's being done already, and as we said, this is a supplementary document underneath the sports strategy. So a lot of the stuff that we in the existing sports strategy document, we hope are continued in the next one. It's more explained in the supplementary document. There's stuff that's being done well, but could be improved later on.
Hi, the Central Region has an IRB capacity problem. We just simply don't have enough drivers for our lifeguarding service on the beach. The presentation which you've done, thank you very much, very focused on sport obviously. Has any thought been given, or sort of a little bit of a challenging question, the direct correlation between developing a strategy in and around enhancing sport, and I really like the stuff you've highlighted around the gender imbalance, and what the likely spin-off is going to be in terms of capacity in the area that I've talked about, because that could well be your sell job next door, just to say, well, at the end of the day, this is what we do, we save lives on beaches and
Yeah. So underlying the entire strategy, and it is an introduction, so I understand you haven't read it yet, but the fundamental purpose of all sport and surf life saving is to produce rescue-ready lifeguards. We can all have different opinions, but fundamentally that's what it was created for. IRBs develop rescue-ready lifeguards. So in terms of not enough drivers, IRB racing should be used as a tool to want to make more people get into IRBs. They want to become drivers to race, and as a spin-off, they become really good lifeguards. That's how. That's kind of the underlying ethos of what we believe. This strategy is focused on IRB racing, so it is a more competitive spin. We're not dwelling into the membership side so much. That's just because of the scope of our project. But your issue is totally legit, but it's just not within the scope of our project, just directly. Yeah.
With the sort of other side of sport, the ultimate sort of looking at high performances at an international level, the interviews you did with the IRB sort of high priority goal racing, is that important to them to go up to an international level?
Yes. The people we interviewed were current world IRB champions, and they see a high performance pathway as being very important. They see Worlds as the most legitimate high performance pathway at the moment. It's interesting you talk about the high performance pathway though in general, because one of the most striking things, it's not in our presentation, but it was mentioned in our the document. There's a generational divide in what people perceive as the most prestigious event. The people over the age of 30, Nationals is overwhelmingly seen as the most prestigious event. 60% see it as most prestigious, another 20 see it as highly prestigious. For those under the age of 30, they see Worlds as the most prestigious event. 70% of that under 30 category see Worlds as the most prestigious event. So there's a big, it's actually really striking. It's literally like a graph up here and a graph up here. And so in terms of what the most valid high performance route to go down. It just depends on the priorities of the organisation. Do we want to make New Zealand the most prestigious event in the world? Is winning a national title the most prestigious thing, or is a high performance pathway going international more important? I guess we've suggested adopting hybrid international life-saving rules because Worlds is now the legitimate pathway. We've seen it's been adopted into the 2020 Worlds team, Prems is gone, and for males anyway, it was a high performance pathway. So your answer to do they see it as a high performance pathway? Yes, and it's an extension of that. The future of RB racing also sees it as a high performance pathway.
Hello everyone. Okay, I have a two-part question. First part is, did you guys look into population of our surf lifeguards compared to, say, the Australian basis surf lifeguards and see how many the ratio is compared to members to IRB drivers and stuff like that? No?
No.
Cool. Second question is that we all know that surf lifesaving is all about adopting change, and that all the clubs really like to absorb things that are put towards them. Do you believe that something like this will actually get adopted by the national body? Even though you do, like you put it together, do you actually think that this could be presented to everyone and that they'll actually want to take on board that?
Well, the issues we presented are serious issues. If they want to address those issues, from our investigation, this is the most legitimate way to address them. If people don't think they're serious issues, they don't have to address them with this pathway.
In our strategy, we've also mentioned that it's really grassroots, or starts from the grassroots and builds upwards. So we want to implement the change starting with the clubs doing it themselves, and then it slowly builds up nationally. Yeah.
Just wanted to have a look at your increase in the sort of upturning the curve there. Did you do any breakdown of the IRB races represented in that curve? And I'm asking the question because it coincides with the changes you've already mentioned that might have had some positive change. Anecdotally, it seems that there's more females at the latest IRB events, for example. And if we're talking about building the sport at the grassroots, there's also the introduction of the younger age groups as well. So I was wondering what representation of females and younger age groups were represented in the upturn curve.
They were. We didn't investigate that. Sorry, we don't know.
Like you said, if we've got any more questions about specific nitty-gritty bits of the strategy, we're happy to talk about it in the break. Sweet.